Hey everyone, this is Gorilla Typewriter. When we look back at the short history of the species Homo sapiens, hundreds of thousands of years, and how much of the past has disappeared into the mists of irrelevance, there is perhaps only one thing that is so impressive that there is no getting around it anyway. It all started with an organization called the Holy Roman Empire. This so-called empire, with thousands of lords scattered about below, is, as the saying goes, my vassal's vassals, not my vassal, and the Holy Roman Empire is ridiculed by many as being neither sacred, nor Roman, nor an empire. It was such a loose organization, with thousands of lords who despised each other and competed with each other, that the spark of greatness rubbed off, and the great Gutenberg printing press was born. With Gutenberg, the price of books, which had previously been a very precious treasure, became progressively more affordable, which was very useful for spreading knowledge. The cheap book spread in Europe, the Europeans became more and more knowledgeable and powerful. Gutenberg was born in the first half of the 15th century, and in the second half of the 15th century the Europeans expelled the Arabs from the Iberian Peninsula. Since the Arabs had occupied the southern part of the Iberian Peninsula, the Christian world's movement to regain lost ground had been going on for 800 years, so why did the Europeans suddenly explode? Because of the Gutenberg press, of course. The competition was brutal and fruitful, with thousands of lords of the Holy Roman Empire competing against each other, and the Christian and Arab worlds competing against each other, and what did it pay off this time? The Spaniards learned the Arabian triangular sail from their rivals, laying the foundations for the invention of the caravel, a prerequisite for the great geographical discoveries. For only a caravel could allow Europeans to leave the calm Mediterranean and explore new routes. The Arab monopoly of trade routes in Central Asia also prompted Europeans to explore new routes, hence the discovery of the Cape of Good Hope route, and the further discovery of the New World. Geographical discoveries, accompanied by a great exchange of species, were of unparalleled importance. The American continent, which stretches across the Arctic and Antarctic, is geographically diverse, and has produced a considerable number of valuable species, with many of the most productive crops cultivated by man coming from the Americas. Maize, tomatoes, potatoes, these crops have greatly increased the population of Europe, and a larger population base provides the human resources for future bursts of productivity. However, this increase in food was not the biggest gain of the Columbian Exchange, as one plant in particular, which the indigenous people enjoyed as a toy, would revolutionize the fate of mankind: rubber. Watt's improvements to the steam engine were not only based on an accumulation of physics, but also required a good sealing material, and the presence of rubber was of considerable importance to the steam engine. In addition to this, a well-developed watch industry was fundamental to the British manufacture of sophisticated mechanical devices. In fact, the world's most valuable mechanical watch brand, Rolex, was created by the British, before being transferred to Switzerland, because of high taxes on British luxury goods. Furthermore, Britain was also the first country to invent the marine clock, which required a great deal of technical accumulation and capital investment. The monopoly of artificial manufacture can sometimes have a positive effect on technological progress, which is why the Republic of Venice invented patent law, which was carried forward by the British. In Watt's time, France's population was twice the size of Britain's, and its market was twice as big, and at one point Watt was planning to go to France to develop his career, but he was persuaded by his friend who told him that your patent would not be well protected in France. So France threw away the chance to become the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. Just because the French market is twice the size of Britain's does not mean that it is twice as efficient, and the British have another remarkable achievement: the superiority of the tax system. A good tax system means that taxpayers enjoy public services after paying their taxes, something that was not available in France, where the monarchy was centralized, but in Britain, by this time, democratic reforms had been completed, the House of Commons controlled the power of taxation, and the king could no longer do what he wanted. It could be argued that Britain was the first country in the world where taxpayers dominated politics, where the private property of the citizens was genuinely protected, and where wealth was certainly becoming more and more concentrated. With a well-developed system of private property protection, the accumulation of wealth, the scientific way of thinking that came from Newton, the terrifying combination of mathematics and physics, rubber from the New World, patent laws that facilitated the spread of technology, quality coal mines that did not require a growth cycle, the accumulation of technology in the watch industry, the Jenny spinning machine that thirsted for power, steel production from fossil raw materials instead of charcoal, the pavement for the age of the big machine. The Watt, a Scotsman, was the final step in the technological explosion of mankind. The Watt steam engine not only freed man's hands, but also his feet. Railways appeared and steamships further connected the world. More and more cities were linked together in an economic network, creating huge markets. Farmers and artisans were given the opportunity to face huge market opportunities, to use their creativity to the full, to join in the feast of capital, and to enjoy the fruits of capitalism. As the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, Britain quickly grew into a world power, sitting on 20 million square kilometers, more than the sunset territory of the Mongol Empire. This power revolution was not only a feast for the British and Europeans, but also a blessing for all mankind, and the sooner we joined the ranks of industry, the sooner we could enjoy it. So it swept across the globe, from Britain to the continent, from Europe to the colonies, to the ancient civilizations of Asia. Since the Industrial Revolution, there have been no famines in Europe, except for sporadic ones in Ireland, where the single food crop of potatoes ruled, and that was the last time. China, on the other hand, solved its food problem once and for all in 1979, when it joined the global market. In fact, even the human brain was liberated by the Industrial Revolution, because big markets existed, and you had the chance to change your life if you put your mind to it, which is why there was a sudden surge of technological inventions in those years. Various theories have circulated that Captain Cook first discovered that drinking fresh lemon juice could solve the problem, and then irrefutably proved it using a double-blind control method. The double-blind experiment was hailed by evolutionary biologist Dawkins as the most scientific thing you should know. To sum up the Industrial Revolution, it was, in a word, the most important event in human history. More important than all the kings and queens, more important than all the heroes and beauties, all the arts, literature, and religion. That is why famous people have lamented that only one thing has happened in human history, and that is the Industrial Revolution.